Thanks for this educational tour of marketing and social media.
And people's attention span is less than a goldfish, less than 7 seconds. I would even say it's at about 3 seconds. Now the thumb stopper. So if you could grab people's attention within the first 3 seconds with the idea that they stop and then they watch the video. So that's something that you can optimize for or maybe track. And the best part is that YouTube does not charge you for the first 5 seconds. I'm sure you've seen those ads when you go to an e-commerce store and then now you start seeing all their products all across the internet. And today's AI, like within each and every platform, whether it's Meta, Google, TikTok, doesn't matter, it's super smart.
You could easily blow through thousands of dollars running ads if you don't know what you were doing.
What I started doing is I get an audiobook and I also get an ebook or physical version, and then I listen and read at the same time.
All right, Alex, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for having me on. My name is Alex Thoric. I've been in the marketing space for the last 7 years, working with different types of businesses, helping them build marketing systems. So you can think of anything that's related to content, ads, emails, funnels, all the good stuff, with a goal to build awareness, get more leads, and then, of course, convert those into clients. So depending on your goals, you can use online marketing for yourself.
A very important detail. What I've noticed, and just from my experience, because I used to do this myself, is a lot of builders, a lot of developers, a lot of professionals, they focus too much on their trade, on getting their stuff done. Whether it's designing the building, actually constructing the building, developing the building, we always think about what is it that we need to do to go from zero to a finished product.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only at the very last moment, like 5 minutes before we're done, we're like, oh, we need to sell this thing. And a lot of times, busy professionals, whatever field they're in, they're too focused on building. They forget that they need to market, that they need to, before they sell it, they need to prepare. So what is it that you do, or how can you help us start thinking about this early? And what is it that we need to think about early?
Yeah. I would say first things first is to start building or creating awareness. Just like, let's say, with the launch of any successful product, we can talk about Apple with iPhone or iPad. We can talk about Tesla, what they did with Cybertruck. Create that, build up that awareness, build up that excitement about the upcoming building, whether it's, I don't know, maybe a multi-family complex, maybe it's an apartment building, something that people are looking into buying, because if you buy earlier, you can get a deal pretty much, right? So that's definitely something that you should be doing, starting with running awareness campaigns by creating content. And in case with the budget itself, you could literally have, like, we have this strategy that we call $5 a day ads, where you have that one or two creatives and you let it run pretty much nonstop, so that it shows up in front of people, because these days everyone is trying to get our attention, and people's attention span is less than a goldfish, less than 7 seconds. I would even say it's at about 3 seconds every time when let's say you're on YouTube and you want to watch something and the ad pops up, and you can skip it only after the first 5 seconds. So people don't necessarily want to see those ads, but showing up in front of your audience, in front of your ideal clients, that's what makes a difference these days.
That's right. It's funny, as I watch the statistics of our various different video content between different platforms, it's so frustrating to see that graph just drop off in 3 seconds. And I'm like, what do you mean? The best part is still to come. And nope, swipe. People are swiping, people are scrolling, whatever the term is.
Yeah, there's a term now, the thumb stopper. So if you could grab people's attention within the first 3 seconds with the idea that they stop and then they watch the video. So that's something that you can optimize for or maybe track.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so back in the day, when we were developing products, we would literally wait until 5 minutes before we're done, and then we would call up the realtor. And the realtor would do their magic and typically post the property on some sort of listing service. These days, how is the market changing with social media, with all this noise? Just calling a realtor and listing the property is not enough. What are the best platforms? Where do we go?
It's definitely not the only option to call the realtor, because in their case, they also need to have the influence in the area in order to be able to sell those properties, to sell those apartments or buildings. What I'm seeing a lot of developers, what they're doing, like for example here in Ottawa, I know someone who works as a marketer at a development company, and that's exactly what he does. So he is in charge of all the funnels and what they do prior to or while they're in the process of the construction. They already create an entire funnel. The first step would be the landing page. They send traffic into that landing page so people can get more information about the upcoming building. So that's something that you could start doing. I would say the best platforms that work these days are Facebook and Instagram. YouTube. So again, those 5-second videos that I mentioned earlier, the ones that you can skip, you could maybe record one good quality video and run that ad on YouTube. And the best part is that YouTube does not charge you for the first 5 seconds, because YouTube knows that people will skip it anyway. And only those
Mhm.
ones who are really interested, they'll keep on watching. I think they start charging you at, depending on the length, but if people watch at least 30 seconds of it, that's when they charge you for that.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're saying, and I guess I missed that from the previous comment that you made about 5 second ads. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah. So like those skippable ones, yeah, because you do
Hmm.
have different versions, different ad types on YouTube.
Hmm.
The ones that you can skip, those are the cheapest ones. There are those ones that you can't skip, and they're usually like 10, maybe 15 seconds, and you really have to watch it. But those are more
Hmm.
expensive. But if your goal is just to build that awareness, you could run standard in those are called in-stream ads. So you can run those ones and just show up in front of people, because at the end of the day, even YouTube doesn't charge you. Like now try so like if we put it into perspective compared to TV ads, if you want to, I mean, the TV ad, the company, the platform that will charge you whether you want it or not.
Hmm. Interesting. So, in the world of syndication, what we typically do when we raise funds for various projects, we do exactly what you just described. We have a landing page. Usually, we have some sort of a lead magnet, and then we use social media to promote our message. Obviously, we prefer organic promotion just
Mhm.
because it's free. It's not free because it takes a lot of time and effort to produce them, but it's ultimately free, right? Because you
Yeah.
can post it on social. But then to enhance that and to get better quality leads to actually land on our landing page, you would suggest advertising, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like the way we look at marketing these days, the ad cost is going up, and just posting content. So as you said, like you could create content, but that takes time, and you should definitely create content. But just posting organically, that takes time. And then in case with ads, like how much are you willing to spend in order to get returns from that? So the way we look at it is we take the content and we take ads and we just put a little bit of budget on. I would say again $5 to $10 a day with running ads that where you talk about the new development, and you could take that specific development and you can, I would say, get at least 5 to 10 different topics. So there you go, like you have 5 to 10 different ads, and those could be 60-second shorts.
Mhm.
And by doing that, you would basically take those videos, run them as an engagement campaign through Meta, because the goal of the engagement campaign is for people to engage, right? So like, comment, share, and Facebook will show it to people who are most likely to do that.
Okay. So you would promote specifically engagement, not a direct path to the
Yes.
landing
Yeah.
page.
So we would promote the engagement. So we would launch an engagement campaign first, promote that content, put some ad money behind it, and then based on people who watch that content, so let's say maybe at least 25% of it. If it's a 60-second video, I would say at least 50%. So that way it becomes at least 30 seconds. If it's a longer video, like a 3 to 5 minute video, you could do 25% because it becomes like a 1 minute to 60 to 90 second of the watch time. So think of it this way: if somebody's scrolling through social media and they see a video and started with some kind of a hook, they stop to watch it and they watch it for 30, 45, 60 seconds. It means they got interested at some point, and most likely they are interested in what you have to say. So based on those people that watched most majority of the video, or at least 50%, now we're gonna launch the second campaign where we're gonna retarget all those people that engaged and send them to the landing page.
I
Way
see.
it's cheaper. It would be cheaper for you to get leads because now you kind
Hmm.
of nurtured them through social media, and you're building a little bit of that trust because they see multiple different videos. And now the cost per lead is going to go down, and there will be more trust.
Okay, and the platforms, like you said, YouTube or Meta, they allow you to retarget the same people who have been engaged in the past?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So you
Okay.
could either retarget people based on who engaged on the Facebook page, people who engaged on the Instagram page specifically. You could retarget people that just came to, let's say, your main website,
Mhm.
or maybe even that landing page, but they didn't necessarily fill out the form. I'm sure you've seen those ads when you go to an e-commerce store and then now you start seeing all their products all across the internet. So
Right.
that's what they have. Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. So, what's the best return on investment? You mentioned Meta, YouTube, there's LinkedIn, TikTok. I don't know. There's probably a gazillion of others, but what's the best engine?
So far, like in our case, what we've seen so far is Facebook, Instagram, because everyone is on those platforms. YouTube is a great one. Google Ads, those ones can get pretty expensive because you pay per click. In case
Mhm.
with YouTube, it's kind of a mix of social media, so a mix of Facebook and Instagram and Google, some search. Because what you can do on YouTube is you can target people based on what they search on Google, and now you know, or I should say, YouTube knows who is searching for those specific keywords. So now we can target those people.
Mm, I
And
see.
today's AI, like within each and every platform, whether it's Meta, Google, TikTok, doesn't matter, it's super smart. So I guess we can say back in the day, uh, we would target people. Let's say we would choose specific age, maybe gender if that's important, specifically like having a product service for male or females, and then go into interest. So we could do, for example, for yeah, like buying new properties, we could do someone who is interested in real estate, and then we will also narrow it down into um, someone who is a high income earner. So think of doctors, lawyers, dentists, tradespeople. So then in that case, Facebook would, so in each and every platform work the same way. But in this case, Facebook would show the ad specifically to those people. What they're doing now, their AI system on the back end is pretty smart. So what really makes a difference these days is your copy and your creative, meaning the text that you write in the ad and the images or videos that you have. Because it reads the copy, it analyzes that, and it'll also, let's say, if in the video you're talking about the development, right? And maybe you're calling out specific type of people, calling out people in the area, it will start showing the ads to people who are most likely to do whatever the objective of the campaign was. So do whatever you want them to do.
What about LinkedIn? I just the other day got solicitation from them. They're like, "Hey, spend $500 on ads. We'll throw you another whatever 700 as a credit," and they're trying to get me to advertise.
Yeah.
What do you think of LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is expensive. LinkedIn, like the cost per lead on LinkedIn can easily be $100 to $200. So I would say it depends. Depends who you want, like maybe what kind of people you want to have in that specific development. If that's specifically like a luxury type of development and you want to go after CEOs of companies where they have 500 plus employees and you know that those people will be able to afford that type of housing, then yeah, LinkedIn you could target there, or you could retarget people through LinkedIn. Because don't forget, people that are on LinkedIn, they're also on other platforms, most of them.
Right.
And let's say if they're on Facebook and Instagram and then they saw the ad, they clicked on it, they came to the landing page, but they didn't fill out the form. Now, so you could use this kind of strategy. So you'd have your three main platforms, let's say, would be Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Of course, you can test those and then see which one will perform the best. But let's say those three, and then also run one retargeting ad for LinkedIn.
Have you ever worked with syndicators or fund capital raisers specifically to attract investors?
No, we haven't worked with syndicators. We work with real estate agents that were looking for investors
Okay.
because they wanted to work with investors and sell their properties or find properties for them.
For investment
Yeah,
properties. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Same idea. It's just
Demographics.
like the strategy would be a little bit different, the messaging itself, but overall, it's all very, very similar.
Right. The reason I ask is I'm just curious for a campaign like this, how much should one budget? Like, is it, I mean, you said $5-10 a day, but should we allocate, I don't know, $100,000 for a large campaign to last run for like 6 months? Or is it something smaller? What's the rule of thumb?
I would say depending on the number of apartments. Let's say if we talk about the apartments,
Mhm.
give me an example of like how many apartments would you have in a building?
Let's say if we're marketing an apartment for rent, it
Yeah.
could easily have 200 units.
Yeah. And then you would need 200 customers. The cost per lead could be from anywhere from 5 to 20, 25. Like a qualified lead would be about $50. So then
Mhm.
from there, we would need to look at the numbers to figure out, we'll look at the goal and then we work it backward.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we
Okay.
could like, of course, 100,000, that is, that is a pretty good amount, but maybe you would need even less than that.
Right. Well, I'm also thinking like for one of our next projects, we need to raise $20 million from retail investors. That would take some time.
Yeah.
And we would be targeting investors that would write a minimum check of, I don't know, let's just say $200,000. So it's pretty high income earner, accredited investor, somebody that's not just going to click on a random ad on Instagram and proceed to write a $200,000 check, right? So
Yeah.
it needs to be a lengthy process.
Yeah. No, of course, it's going to be an entire ecosystem.
Right. Right. Interesting. So this is the service that you provide, right?
That's something that we provide, but something that we also teach because we started a marketing consultancy where we help business owners and entrepreneurs build out the client acquisition system so that they know how to do it on their own as well. Because a lot of
Okay.
them, we've noticed that they are lost. Like a lot of them don't even have a CRM.
I mean, you just confused the hell out of me, and I thought I knew enough to be dangerous, you know, because I mean, I know about sales funnels.
Yeah.
We have landing pages, we have the system in place, but we've never done direct advertising. We've always
Hmm.
relied on organic.
Hmm.
We see the value in advertising to boost that organic search.
Hmm.
And so we're researching this internally, but talking to you, I'm like, I need to go back, talk to my team. We need to hire somebody like you, or maybe hire you because there's a lot of work. And you,
Yeah.
you could easily blow through thousands of
Yeah.
dollars
Yeah.
running ads if you don't know what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like in case with ads, also like I would suggest to um, test different creatives. I'd say so. Let's say if we talk about, we'll take one campaign. Within one campaign, you could have different ad sets, right? You could test different audiences and see how they perform. But again, with today's AI, you could literally just go broad. Maybe choose the age specifically. And in case with creatives, you would have about 3 to 4 different creatives per ad set. So that way you would know which ones work. So you test creatives separately. Then with the second ad set, you could test the copy, meaning you would have the same creative, but different copies. Maybe like version 2, version 1, and version 2. And then in the third ad set, you could test headlines.
Mhm.
So that way you'd also know, and it basically comes up to about 12 ads. And if you want to test fast and then see which one will perform the best, that's how we usually do it. So then when
Got
you
it.
find the winner,
Interesting.
you kill the rest, like you shut them down. and you
Mhm.
focus the majority of the budget to those campaigns and to those creatives.
Right. Interesting. What was your, I don't know, best, most fun project that you've done in the past?
The best, most fun, I would say we worked with, that was a lot of fun prior to COVID. So during COVID, when everything started to shut down, we had this gym client. He was running group training classes, and I think he was the only one. I can say that he was the only type of client that understood how important it is to market, even though he's as a small business owner. And he told us, Alex, I don't want to stop advertising or marketing. So we did decrease the budget a little bit because everything got shut down. So they moved online. They did have an email database, so that's what we've used. And then we were also advertising nonstop, but with a little bit of a smaller budget. And that's exactly what we did. So we took the content and we started amplifying it with ads. I would say a year later, they were able to train outside. So we started pushing that more and more and more. And then eventually everything kind of went back to normal. By the time all the restrictions were lifted, they opened the second location in the city nearby because of all that buzz in the area, which was interesting because we had another gym client not far from that location and they had to close down within the first 2 months.
What made that project so memorable?
I would say the mindset of that business owner, the way he looked at marketing and advertising. And I'm sure you've heard of this quote from Henry Ford where he said, people that want to stop marketing or advertising is like people that want to stop the clock. That it doesn't make any sense. So by him making that decision and us not stopping, they're able to open the second one, and now they are planning to pretty much start an entire franchise.
Amazing.
Yeah,
How about mistakes? What would you say was the worst mistake you made?
worst mistake I made in terms of marketing or life.
I mean, let's stick to business.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is business. I got when there was a bull run during COVID with crypto and everything. I focused a little too much on that. It wasn't a good idea. That's what I thought back then, but now I'm realizing it was actually pretty good because I learned a lot in a super short period of time. Even though lost a little bit of money, which is fine, I recovered that. But the biggest lesson was focusing on one thing. And I'm not sure if you've read the book The One Thing by Gary Keller from Keller.
I started reading that, and about a third of the way through, I threw it away. I'm like, I don't believe that.
I don't know. I read it. So I read it once. I took all the notes. I was intrigued. I reread those notes, I think, 2 or 3 times at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to take another look. I usually do audiobook when I'm
Okay.
working out,
Yeah.
and listening to it, I'm like, I don't agree. I'm like, you can't just do one thing. Yes, I mean, I get the whole mindset of
It's
being
like the 80
focused,
20, right?
right? But
That's
there's always things that are going on. If you solely focus on this narrow thing and ignore all the things around it,
hmm
like you can't succeed. You have to have a broader vision.
yeah.
But I get the concept of
Yeah.
focus, of being focused.
Yeah. 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 I mean, in his case, like you could merge his book with, I just finished reading 10x is easier than 2x.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
Okay, so you can check it out. It was written by Dan Sullivan. He runs Strategic Coach, which is
Mhm.
a business growth company. They basically
Yeah,
came together.
I just looked behind me because I have Dan Sullivan's Who Not How,
So
but
they actually, yeah,
I'm
they
not
actually
familiar
do
with that
talk
one.
about this book in 10x is easier than 2x.
Mhm.
So within the book itself, 10x rule.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the way Grant Cardone explains it is like, that's one thing. The way they explain it, they go more into the human psychology, and they do share different examples of Michelangelo, how he started and how he was going through through the entire journey. They explain his life journey, how he was creating all these different statues, all the way to creating the David statue, and then getting pretty much requests from the city. I think it was Naples. I need to reread the book again, but anyway, so he was
Mhm.
basically doing those 10x jumps in his
Right.
career. You could check it out. Like you can listen to it, maybe then read um, the physical version or ebook if that's easier. What I started doing is I get an audiobook and I also get an ebook or physical version, and then I
Hmm.
listen and read at the same time.
Okay.
And that
Interesting.
feels like, yeah, I get to see, I get to remember more, but at the same time, because sometimes, let's say, like as you said, like you're working out, I love doing that as well, working out, listening to the audiobook, and then it's like, oh, that's a good point. And every time would be like, okay, I need to, when I'm back home, I would need to sit down and listen to that part again. But
Hmm.
instead of doing that, now I just open, pull up Audible, and then you can,
Hmm.
on the right hand side, you can click on clip. So it kind of adds a note, or it clips
Okay.
that part, and you can also add a note if you want to remind yourself like what that part was about. But yeah, that's how I'm reading books these days.
Nice. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good tip. Let's see. Oh, so speaking of audio content and tools that we have, you mentioned AI. How does your job, or how did your job change in the last couple of years with sort of introduction of AI, and how much AI can do for you, but also for others to create a lot more noise in the world of social media and just the world of marketing, I guess,
Yeah.
overall?
Honestly, it makes our life so much easier. That's what I can say. We do use AI quite a bit because everything starts from putting together a strategy or figuring out who is, let's say, when we help them with the product market fit, finding out the messaging for the product for the ideal client. I'm sure you've used ChatGPT yourself, or maybe any other like Claude or Gemini. There are lots of them. They're pretty much all do more or less the same thing.
Right.
Um, so the better the quality of the questions that you have, the better will it be the answer. The Like even yesterday, I was in a call with a client, and like we do have some of the pre-recorded materials when they go through our trainings, and we do cover the AI. We explain how to write a prompt. Then we sat down. I shared my screen, and I pretty much started going through step with him step by step. I would ask him a couple of questions, and then we'd put it into ChatGPT based on his goals, based on his ideal client, based on his goals, based on what he's doing and how he's helping businesses. So in his case, he's a financial advisor. What ChatGPT was able to give, like the so I should before we got the answer from ChatGPT, he saw the prompt. The prompt was, I don't know, I think this big. Then he said, "Okay, now I understand what you said about the prompt, the quality of the question, because
Mhm.
I try to give give AI as much information as possible, as much data, so it can give me put the puzzle together. Because in your head you have all of this information, and even if you take a pen and paper and you put it on a piece of paper, you write it out. That's one thing. But then now AI can put it all together and create an entire plan and strategy for you. That's
That's
how,
amazing.
yeah, that's how we kind of look at it. And then yeah, of course there are all of those other tools and apps that you could use, like for example for video editing there is Opus.pro. Recordings we like to use Riverside, because they also do the uh, after the calls, after if those are calls or interviews, they also do the short form content. So in that case you don't even need Opus.pro. What else is there? I don't know if you've heard of make.com.
Make?
Yeah, make.com. No?
No,
Okay.
I haven't heard.
Hey,
No.
okay, so well, since you're familiar with funnels, I'm sure you've heard of Zapier.
Mhm.
Make.com is something similar, but I would say it is more robust because you could create an entire sequence of, let's say we have this episode. You could upload it. I don't know how, I don't know your process in the backend, but I'll assume how that works. Let's say you get the video, you upload it into Google Drive. Now, when the video is in Google Drive, make.com sees that. The next step, it will be sent to ChatGPT, asking to write an introduction and maybe description for the video with a headline. So that way, you don't need to sit down or somebody from the team to sit down and do it manually. Then you could also add Opus.pro, which is the app that does clips. It can cut it out. It can upload into Opus.pro automatically. It will chop up all those clips and then re-upload back into Google Drive. If you
Okay.
want, you can connect all of your social media accounts and platforms. Then when those shorts are in Google Drive, now we can have the next step, which would be ChatGPT, and ask it to write short captions for social media for each and every video, and pre-schedule using some kind of scheduling tool or directly through the platform.
Right. We use something similar. We record in Descript, and then Descript transcribes in
Hmm.
real time, and then it could create shorts as well.
Hmm.
What we found is that the shorts that Descript creates are not always as good as Opus.
Yeah.
And so we usually do both. We run the sequence through Descript to create a couple shorts. Usually out of like 7, we select 2 or 3. Then we put it on Opus, let them run. Out of 100 different clips that they create, there's only maybe 5 that are
Hmm.
usable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you could publish from Opus directly to social, but the
Yep.
captions that they create are not very good. So we have a custom GPT that we created with a ton of different rules that we pre-programmed. And so then we upload the transcript of each clip into our custom GPT. It creates the caption, we paste it back, and then from Opus we schedule posts. I mean, the workflow is amazing. Even 6 months ago, the same process would be taking hours, if not days, to complete.
I'll go there, do it manually. Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Short form content came out when it started to become popular, and there were no apps at the time that would do that. It would take us, so we were like providing that as one of the services. It would take us, I would say, 30 minutes to an hour to edit a 1 minute video,
Right.
which was insane. And then they started coming out with captions and transitions and b-rolls and all that good stuff.
Fun
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Alex, in terms of your service that you provide, so you mentioned education and you mentioned consulting.
Hmm.
Is there a fixed fee that you charge for those services, or is that all on a case by case basis?
It is a fixed fee for the programs. Yeah. So we have the one main program, and then we also have a monthly support group. So those are like the two main things.
Can you share the costs?
Yeah, sure. So we have a 3 month program where we take business owners by the hand. We work with them one on one, show them each and every step, help them implement those, teach them how to run it. So again, they can do it on their own. It's 5K for those 3 months. And then if they want to be part of the monthly community, it's 250 a month to get all the support and different updates that they would need.
There are other users that are helping each other. Is that
Yep.
the idea?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the goal. Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. Alex, once again, what's the name of your company and how does one find you?
So the name is Building Income on Demand. Speaking of building, uh,
That's right.
yeah, if you guys want to connect, you can reach out to me on social media. Honestly, any platform. It's at Alex Thoric. Or if you prefer emails, you can email me at alex@buildingincomeondemand.com.
If you prefer emails.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. So I guess some people do. We did get one email,
Right.
I think, from like this kind of an outreach. But yeah, most of the times people
Right.
just reach out on social media, mostly LinkedIn.
Alex, thank you so much. Thanks for this educational tour of marketing and social media. It was super useful. I appreciate your time and hope to chat with you again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.